Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So for those who don't know, I'm Alicia and I've been interviewing inspirational people to find out how they've become such a success. This week I interviewed Professor Tim Wilson from the 2019 series The Circle. Here's how it went.
I've got a so much more colourful wall than you. Beatbox. um, Press the button and go.
You are very well known as coming third on the 2019 Circle. If you could just begin with introducing yourself, who are you, what do you do, and a little bit about Circle as well.
Okay, well, so my name is Tim Wilson. What do I do? Oh gosh, I really don't know anymore. I'm a professor in a Russian university. I'm also an animator and a filmmaker. And I've been doing the filmmaking and the animation for years and years and years, really since I was 11. And what else? I do a little bit of writing. I teach whenever I'm asked to in different places. I go and do talks in different places. All of this I was doing long before the Circle. And do I do anything else? Well, I've had a variety of very peculiar jobs. At one point, I was a nanny, which was lovely. I was Mary Poppins. At another point, a mix between Mary Poppins and Mrs. Doubtfire, I think. And then teaching. I remember teaching in one school years and years ago in the early 1990s when the Poetry Society came out, and all the boys, and it was a grammar school, so it was just boys. The girls' school was next door over a fence, and somebody had written on the fence, "Blow my horn, Jericho." And I think they expected the fence to fall over. Much later, I remember going to see Dead Poets Society and thinking, "Oh my God, this is me." I'm going to be fired any day. And I remember the head of my department came in and found all these boys standing on their desks. "What are you doing?" Oh, Mr. Wilson, you're here. I thought you weren't here. Yeah, I'm presiding over this chaos. Won the people's vote in the Circle. Must say, it's a bit of a shock to hear that I came third. I didn't realise I came third. I had no idea. I wasn't really paying very much attention.
Do you know what? In terms of the Circle, I have no idea how it works.
Really?
Really?
Well, I'm not going to clarify that for you very much because I had no idea what it was when they telephoned me and said, "Would you like to be on this show?" But it's I think rightly it's a privilege to work for the BBC. And
So how does the Circle work? How do you come third?
well, I don't know how I came further. I don't know how I got into the finals. I mean, really, I thought I was sort of boring old fart who would be knocked out within the first week. And my partner tells me that I was the John Sargent of the Circle, and John Sargent, who I know is a great political commentator, who was who did some rather sensational interviews. Particularly, one of his first ones was in the last days of Mrs. Thatcher. And John Sargent was on a show called Strictly Come Dancing and was fairly useless, but incredibly bewitching television, I believe. And so I think that's what I was supposed to be, fairly useless and bewitching television. And somehow, on the Circle, I understood it. So we're locked in a room. We're locked in an apartment of our own, and we can't communicate with the other people on the Circle. There's sort of six to eight, nine people in rooms. We don't meet them, we don't see them, we don't hear them. And so there's a lot of insulation, and it's very hot. And we communicate with them through the Circle's specially designed social media system. So we talk to a television and the words appear on the television screen, and these are communicated immediately to the people watching the television screens in the other apartments.
Okay.
And so as a result, some of them who appear to be young girls or young boys can be quite different in reality.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a character called Sammy, who was a young mother with a child. Well, the moment I saw that picture, I thought, well, that's an image, that's an icon that's worked for 2,000 years very successfully, so I don't believe that. And I was right in the end. Sammy was not a girl with child. Sammy was a lovely fellow called James, and I went to see him yesterday. And we get on splendidly. But you know, the whole reality of reality TV is that it's edited. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It
Mm-hmm.
isn't reality at all. It's telling a story. In real life, we don't tell stories.
Mm-hmm.
Our life isn't perfectly structured in a narrative. So we rely on incredibly skilled producers, writers, editors to make to make our life look structured and interesting. So it builds to a climax. You know, and so you have to rely on the fact that the producers know what they're doing. So if you fight the production, it's not going to work. And I was very lucky. I came in early, and I think they restructured their storyline around what they saw I was doing. I think I had some wobbles. I think that there were points at which they would have been quite happy to have got rid of me. But for the most part, I think I was in sync with the production and surprisingly got through to the end. So at the end of every day or every other day, we were asked to rank these 6 to 8 other contestants according to how much we liked them. So it was a sort of friendship thing. Now, I thought the idea of the circle was all about sort of reciprocity and friendship as well. So I thought that was very good. And but there have been international versions of the circle by the same company, and they've turned into a much more strategic gameplay where they're trying to win the prize. And I don't think that we were doing that much of that until
Okay.
the end.
What is your view on reality TV? Do you like
Oh
watching
God!
reality TV in
Well,
general, or?
up to this point, I hadn't seen any.
Okay.
So I really was a reality TV virgin, and I hadn't seen Big Brother. I hadn't seen Strictly. I hadn't seen Dancing on Ice. Oh, very, very amusingly, I went to a show. Sorry about that. I went to a production of Nativity with Rylan, whatever his name is, with the teeth.
Yeah.
And somebody said to me, I was at the bar feeling a bit lost. I was waiting for somebody. In fact, I bumped into Vanessa Phelps. So in fact, I didn't. I got on my knees because there were these 2 very small children who came in, and they looked a bit lost. And I said, God, imagine I'm on my knees, sort of talking to these 2 3-year-olds or something. And I looked up and she said, "It's me, I'm Vanessa Phelps, and these are my grandchildren." I thought, oh my God, here I am stealing her children, stealing her grandchildren. And I'm on my knees in front of television royalty. You know, this is not a good image. And I was lost for words. But around about that time, I was at the bar, and there were all these people from a show called Dancing on Ice.
Okay.
And they said to me, "Oh, Tim, you ought to be on Dancing on Ice." And I said, "I can't skate." And they said, we'd teach you. They were the pros. And I said, well, you'd have such a hard time. But, you know, I'd work really hard. The problem is I would fall over. Doesn't matter. And I'd scream. Is it great TV? I don't know. But Strictly, I probably would do if I were really pressed. And partly because of the association of Woody's mother, who I think is an angel. And it was so lovely seeing her in action. But reality TV, I've started looking at really old reality TV. On a Tuesday, I do a podcast with a person from the States
Okay.
who persuaded me to do it. And I thought, okay, this is interesting. It's an excuse for me to look at this early reality TV, and it's a show called Survivor.
Okay.
And the lure for me is that I get to meet contestants, and I get to meet sort of super fans and people who write about the reality TV phenomenon. Because I would quite like to write about it. I think it's a very interesting. I think it, in many ways, it defines our entertainment at the moment. It's a major part of our diet of television, and I can't understand how I have missed it. And I can't understand A, how I've missed it, and B, how I should have ended up as sort of playing a central role in it at the same time as having missed out on it. So I think I've got a very interesting take on it. But I'm horrified, actually. I'm horrified by the exploitation of the reality TV stars that I see. I'm horrified that I see these people from the turn of the century, and for the most part, I don't know who they are. These are people who are major stars as a result of that program, but they did nothing afterwards. It's not as if they became great TV stars, why not? Because if they're good enough to entertain us for 8 weeks on a major network show, then they're good enough to be doing other things. But what they seem to do is to go off and advertise bikinis and Assos, and I don't quite understand that connection, and I think I think that's disappointing, and it's certainly not the way I was presented with the Circle when I was asked to go on it. So I think that's disturbing. But I think more disturbing is the fact we're talking on the day when Caroline Flack's inquest is finishing, or has just finished, and there's a lot of blame being thrown at the police and the CPS. There's a lot of talk about she would be treated differently if she had not been famous, and she was singled out really as a for a sort of show trial. In fact, she was tried pretty well in the media before it would even have got to court.
What's your view on that?
I think it's horrific, but I also think that she was not a reality TV star, but she was very closely associated with the reality TV phenomenon. And I think there's a dark side to this.
Okay.
So too, I think there's a dark side whenever that sort of overwhelms us and we get infected. And there was a point in the Circle where I think that sort of happened. It was demonstrated very well. Richard Madeley, who's this amazing, he is television royalty. He was the king of morning TV, breakfast TV, with his wife Judy. And I met them both much later on, and I got a hug from them, which was very nice. And he's lovely, not as tall as I thought. He probably didn't realize I was quite as small as I am. And it was interesting. He was expected to go into the Circle and be nasty.
Okay.
Be vicious, actually, and he was vicious about my cat. But he was vicious about the cat that he saw in a photograph, which is the older cat, who I thought at the time was dying. I still think she's dying, but she's a determined old lady, and she will cling on to the last possible moment. I think she's damned if she's going to go off quickly, and she's become extremely vocal. And she does it all from a basket in the corner of the house, so that's fine. But I was worried that I would come out of the Circle and I would find that she died, and so I was terribly upset when he was nasty. And I thought I don't think he realised how much that had hurt me.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Circle fully understood. You play a big practical joke, and I don't think that you survive that sort of Venus spas, that Viennese joke. I don't think you can survive that. And you can say, oh, that's just a practical joke. Come on, let's all have a drink. You don't. It still hurts. Mm-hmm. It still hurts that you've been a butt of a really nasty joke. And I felt I was the butt of a really nasty joke. And more than that, I felt that in playing that nasty character, Judy, Richard brought evil into the Circle. Unknowingly, unwittingly, but he brought evil into the Circle. I waffled like mad. I mean, you press a button and I would just go for 2 or 3 hours. I'm used to standing in front of an audience of 400 or 500 students who were very quiet, and they just take notes or go to sleep. I try not to let them go to sleep, actually. I do a certain amount of charging around, and I wear a gown as a flatband. So God knows when I'll be lecturing again, because I haven't been back to my university for a while now.
Have you not been back because of COVID, or?
Because of COVID, and also because in the Circle, which I didn't know, I was sort of outed as gay, and it's not something that's ever been an issue to me. I just think you look at me, you look at the colour of my socks, and you draw your own conclusion, and you're generally not wrong. And I thought I just never made a great issue about it, and there was a point in the Circle when I thought, oh, I really ought to say something, and I decided not to. And I think one of the producers said, "But why are you being so reticent? It's already advertised at the beginning of the programme, Tim Wilson, gay. I thought, really? That's very shocking. That's not something I knew. And so I sort of did sort of come out, I suppose. And the problem is that there's a law in Russia, and I would hope would have realised it was a ridiculous law and needed to be changed.
You mentioned about you being into animation since an early age.
Yeah.
How come you didn't choose that as a career path?
I would have done, except I had a satanic art teacher when I was at school, who used to humiliate me in class, and I thought, I would do anything except for art, because if this is what art teaching is all about, that's what we're going to get when we go up the ladder and go to university. So I'm afraid I sort of set my mind on becoming a monk and disappearing from the world at that point. And I did, in fact, join a monastery. I got thrown out, which probably was the best thing that ever happened to me. But yeah, it was because of this ghastly man. And I left I left that school where I was a small boy. I went to my main school, and I thought, now we're going to be away from him, and he was there too. So I had about 13 years of him, constant pressure, and I could draw very, very well when I was little. And in fact, I've since learned that there were two mothers who came to the school, and they wanted to hold exhibitions for me.
Oh, really?
One of them apparently in Russia. So the Russian connection seems to have dogged my life. I don't know how. And I knew their children very well. I knew their boys very well. And it's only later that children and I we met up, and they said, "Oh, well, our mothers were very upset that you didn't take up this offer." And I thought, well, I never knew about it. And that's because this art teacher and my father basically squashed it. And it's really sad. It's taken me years to get back to the point where I think I'm now like I was when I was 11, and I can draw pretty well what I want to draw. I don't have to think about it a lot. It just happens.
That's really sad to hear. What would you say to anyone who's potentially going through that, where their dreams are getting shattered?
Well, I would hope today there'd be somebody else who'd be brave enough on the school staff to come to their aid, because it wasn't as if this stuff took place in secret. It was quite open, and I would have a run-in with this man, and I would be in tears, and I'd be consoled by the English teacher or whatever. And it was open. It was an open secret that there was this rivalry between a grown man and a little boy. So as a teacher myself, I've always tried to, if I've seen a child suffering, whether that's through, whether it's real or whether it's imaginary, the fact is the child is suffering, and it doesn't matter whether the teacher is being nasty to them or not, or whether they're just imagining it. That child is suffering, and I remember saying to one of my old school friends, we were talking about it the other day, because we went all the way back to the age of 8 or 9, and I said, I don't believe there was bullying in that school. I believe there was only bullying from the teachers. And he said to me, no, he was bullied. And he said, and I think you were bullied as well. But it was so eclipsed by the experience of being singled out and attacked again and again and again by this man and by the Latin teacher. And we had a man whose only job was to beat little boys. And he never beat me, and I never quite understood why, but I have a feeling it was because I had haemophilia, and I didn't know about it. So I think probably there was a doctor's note saying you aren't allowed to hit him. So you're allowed to terrify him, you aren't allowed to hit him, because he will bruise and you'll probably kill him. It's and I didn't fully. I was made to play rugby, but I used to hide behind the big H and try and read Lord of the Rings in any weather. Snow, rain, wind, the occasional page would fly away, and I'd go off on a little run.
So what path did you choose instead? Obviously, you've mentioned about teaching.
Well, I went into the church, and then got thrown out, and I got thrown out for applying to Oxford without permission.
Okay.
So I then went into Oxford, and by that point, I was sort of set on a religious education. So I read theology, God, And so I accumulated lots of dead languages, and I loved going through these texts and trying to work out which bit was written first, probably. Um, and so when I started teaching, which I did very early, I was teaching before I left the university. I got a job in my third year as a nanny, and then I was asked if I would also do some tutoring and teaching as well. But I was a nanny to a wonderful little girl, which is just delightful. I'm sure it'll be a bit difficult. Were you difficult when you were 5?
I don't know, probably.
I hope so. I hope so, because 5 is the time when character starts to emerge, and that can present interesting challenges. I remember this girl stood at the top of the stairs of the house once, and she said, "We do love you, really, Tim, even though you are a bit strange." I thought, from a 5-year-old, that's great. That's great. And I think I was sort of old enough to appreciate how entertaining that was as well. So that was really nice. It came at the right time in my life. So I'm really grateful. And I didn't stay too long. I was asked if I would stay another year, and I thought, this is going well. I need to get out while the applause is still going. While the applause is ringing in my ears, I must go. Rather like Mary Poppins.
You said about Channel 4 contacted you regarding the Circle. How did they get your details? How did they contact you?
I'm really quite impressed about that, but I knew the person who had done the research, and he apparently was interested in some of my YouTube videos. I started doing YouTube videos about 15 years ago, and I remember going into a school, and the children got very excited. Sir, you've got 3 million views. And I thought, well, yeah. And have you monetized it, sir? And they got very excited about this, and suddenly it started to become quite sort of significant. But I had the skills for making it. I like sort of be useful for some people, and it seems to have been useful. And I still get quite a lot of views on that video. How to write a good essay. I was never taught how to write a good essay, so I thought I must do that. And also, for a while, I was doing a lot of audio cassettes and things in those days for teaching English as a foreign language when I lived in Greece. And in fact, that was really the only job that ever paid any money when I lived in Greece. Everything else, I could never be quite sure that people would pay. But in recording studios, they always paid. It was lovely. And I got used to doing recording and not pinging when you're in front of a microphone. You have a chance to ping because you stop. And you learn how to place your P's. You place a P. And that's rather nice. And I learned how to do all that.
Okay.
But as a result, I still meet people who say, "Oh my God, I recognize that voice. You were the voice that taught me English." Listen and repeat. "Hello, my name is George. Did you get that?" And it just I can switch it on like that, and it's and I love different. I love different accents. I'm not so good at accents, and I do one accent and I can't do another one for the rest of the day.
So what's your best accent you can do?
Oh, probably at the moment is Mrs. Doubtfire, but I made a little video about that the other day. I mean, it was fascinating because Robin Williams explained how he did it, and I'd been copying him for years, really, and I found a different way of doing it. I thought you'd take Maggie Smith, sort of, but Maggie Smith as Jean Brodie. They're all broody girls, and I'm in my prime, an assassin. Does that sound like it?
Yeah, good.
Don't see the film, and it just one with Celia Johnson. It's just such a and Maggie Smith's husband was in it as well, and he's wonderful as well. And it's just such a wonderful film. It's very stagey, but then you take that accent and you soften it a little bit, and you get Mrs. Doubtfire. "Oh, hello, dear. It's just Virginia Doubtfire. And if Virginia Doubtfire is in her prime as well, I wouldn't do that, dear. Don't do that. You've obviously got a very big car. And I just think if somebody did the play of Mrs. Doubtfire, I'd probably be prepared to lose the beard. There is a musical which was just about to start, and then COVID came along.
Maybe you should audition.
I don't think I should audition. I think I should just be offered the part. But I'm the only person who looks like Robin Williams anyway. So, and if I remove the beard, I thought that if I were to do it, I'd play the Daniel part with a beard, and then there'd be a great revelation when hello dears, oh puppets, and then be great. Oh, who is that person? It's me. And I'd have to get the beard back on, plus all the masculine clothes, and it'd be such a mess. It would be delightful.
It'd be good fun.
Yeah, it would be good fun. It would be good fun. I miss the theatre a lot. I mean, there's a number of shows that I'd love to do.
What types of theatre have you done before? Have you done anything before?
Oh God, yes. I was a director and designer. I did a lot of opera, musicals. I have done some acting, but I found I was always given these two, and I thought that ate into my soul, and I didn't like who I became.
Yeah.
Now I think I look a little bit more bubbly. I think I could probably get away with playing parts which sort of practically are akin to Santa, and it might be fun for everybody. But yeah, I was playing all these sort of second layer villains in Shakespeare, and I enjoyed it. I love a big audience. Actually, it's a thing I miss about not lecturing at the moment, because I love sort of having a big audience and playing the audience. I always looked upon teaching, particularly large lecture rooms. I always looked upon that as a form of performance.
Mm-hmm.
And I often used to learn my part before I went on, I think.
For people who are watching this, what would you say to them if they want to go ahead and achieve their dreams? What would you say?
Do the homework. Okay. Do the homework. Don't allow anybody to suppress your passion or your vision of what you might be. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't work today, it might work tomorrow. So keep going, but do your homework. Think of Julie Andrews. I think she's been an icon for me, and in one of her memoirs, I think she's written two books of memoirs, and they're brilliant. And in one of them, she says that her singing teacher had told her, "What is the difference between an amateur and a professional? An amateur rehearses until they get it right. A professional rehearses until they cannot get it wrong. So in order to do it well, you have to practice."
That is very true.
I wish somebody would come around and teach me how to tap properly, because I've been able to do the stuff, I can do all the stuff with the hands, but the feet just don't work properly. And I think if you want to do stuff on stage, you need to have all that sort of razzmatazz, darling, jazz hands.
There's no such thing as can't.
There isn't. And the other thing is singing. I can carry a tune, though I think I tend to be word led, and every so often because I did so much work with opera, I try and listen to the way that real singers use the voice, and there's a lot of mythology that goes on around sort of vocal sort of mechanisms and stuff, and where the sound comes from. But we're always learning, and if we stop learning, then we stop growing.
We do.
And we shouldn't stop. So that's the advice. Don't stop. That actually is the advice. Don't stop. Just keep going.
That's a brilliant bit of advice. I think for anyone who's going to be watching this, they can definitely learn from that. I have got 10 very quick questions.
Go on.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Favourite fast food place?
None.
Really?
I've never had fast food. No, you have to go on to the next one.
Okay. Mayonnaise or ketchup?
What? Neither.
Really?
Really, absolutely. I hate sloppy stuff. Can't stand it. Don't like gravy. No, you're not doing very well here. Come on, next one.
That's the idea of these.
Come on. It's lovely. Come on.
Okay. Who is your favourite inspirational person? Who do you find inspirational?
Julie Andrews.
Good choice.
Not there, really. The Queen sometimes.
Okay, one interesting fact about yourself.
No idea. Oh, no idea. No, I don't have any interesting facts about myself. It would take a day. Don't know. I looked after goats.
That's quite cool.
Goats are fascinating. When they get frightened, they fall over. This came from Georgia. I had a very nice Georgian student who gave me this.
It's very nice.
I think she made it herself.
Do you like watching The Circle?
Well, I've not watched my version. I watched the first version as. I don't know. It's not for me to say, really. I'm afraid. I'm not being very good on these quick-fire questions, am I?
It's okay. I'll let you off.
I like seeing Woody. I think if I were to watch the show now, I would just fast forward to all the Woody bits.
Okay. I was actually going to ask, the next question was, do you like watching yourself back? But
yeah, if it's not The Circle, I really don't mind. But whenever you watch yourself back, you always see things that you should have done differently. So you're always hypercritical about it. Because I'm an animator, I tend to look at I tend to see film very minutely. I see very minute moments.
Yeah.
And they stick out. I find it very uncomfortable, but I find all films slightly uncomfortable. After a while, it just overwhelms me. I go to sleep. I can count the number. I can tell you what I was doing in so many films. Rambo, asleep within minutes of the opening. Jurassic Park. Most of the Jurassic Parks, I've just about managed to wake up for the end. But and then I saw Frozen 1 and 2 the other day, and I remember going to the cinema. I remember going to the cinema to see them, but I must have slept all the way through them. Let it go, let it end. I mean, it didn't start for me. And then I saw it on the Disney Plus the other day, early in the morning. I thought, this is very good. What had I missed?
Miss Lowe, I love it.
Yeah, and Tangled was very good as well. I liked Tangled too. Whereas I'd sort of been slightly dismissive of these 3D films. I thought, 3D, it's like looking at Barbie on a bad day. But actually, they're quite good.
So what's your favourite film then, is the next question?
Mary Poppins, followed quickly by Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Sound of Music, and what's the Gene Kelly one? Rain. Let It Rain. No. Singing in the Rain. Okay. It's Always Fair Weather is pretty good too. But Singing in the Rain. So that would be my list, and then you could probably throw in things like Ben-Hur eventually, I suppose. But I find Ben-Hur doesn't, although it's a wonderful film, and I watched it when I was little. It doesn't really benefit from watching too closely these days. You see all the sort of blue screen stuff, and it's just a bit dodgy in places.
So what's one thing that really annoys you?
Tardiness, a lack of kindness. Does that annoy me? No, it just disappoints me. What annoys me is being asked security questions on the phone.
Yeah.
And I just find that's an excuse for somebody to bully me, and I don't like it.
No, I don't like it either.
And I can never remember the answers anyway.
What's your favourite food?
Cheddar cheese, Battenberg, Ribena.
Well, what if you had to pick one?
Cheddar cheese.
Yeah?
Strong cheddar. Very strong cheddar, actually, would be the ideal. Extra strong cheddar. Now, where does that come from? That comes from somewhere near here. I can't remember. Warwickshire.
Okay.
Extra strong Warwickshire. And it stinks the place out. Ribena is very odd because Ribena is actually a Russian name. And you go to a Russian supermarket and you ask for a Ribena, and you will get this purple drink, which looks like this. looks just like this, but it tastes foul.
Really?
Yeah, and obviously the English person who invented Ribena thought, I got this very nice drink for children, and let's have an exotic name. Oh, look, here, there's this name from the Soviet Union called Ribena, and am I going to steal that? No one will know. No one did until I came along.
What is your favourite country to travel to?
Anywhere that I've been to, really. I think Turkey, Greece, Albania, Russia, Wales.
Have to pick one. Where would you choose?
I think there's a lot to be said for going to somewhere slightly obscure. So I think probably I would recommend a little town on the coast of Albania called Durrës, which I think would be quite nice. Durazzo. I think that might be an idea. Or maybe I ought to just be very loyal and say Greece. Maybe I say Greece. Turkey. My partner probably is listening from upstairs. He'll be very cross if I don't say Turkey. I'll say Turkey. Oh, I don't know. That's so cruel of you to ask me to make a decision.
Sorry. Thank you very much for agreeing to take part in this.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. I'm very nice to be here. Bay's enjoying himself enormously.
Yes, I can hear him. Now, I hope you all enjoyed that interview with Tim. I know what stood out for me was when Tim was talking about that he gave up his dreams because a teacher told him to and told him he wasn't good enough. So don't let anyone ever dull your sparkle. Whatever you want to achieve, you can do it. I mean, you only have to look at Tim's YouTube channel to see what a talented person he is. And that's so important for all of us to remember. The other thing that stood out for me was when Tim was talking about practice making perfect and about the Julie Andrews quote. An amateur practices until they're perfect, but professional practices until they don't get it wrong. And that is so important for us all to remember. If you've got a dream, if you want to achieve your dream, make sure you practice until you don't get it wrong and you get it perfect every single time. Now, you can follow Tim here. If you have someone that inspires you, comment below. I'm always so interested to find out who others find inspirational. Likewise, if you have an inspirational story to tell, comment below, drop me a message on social media, or even drop me an email. On Sunday at 4 o'clock, I'll be speaking with director and choreographer Nick Winston about how he's become such a success within the musical theatre industry. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a comment below, let me know what you think, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit subscribe. See you all on Sunday. See you later.